This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL. BTL After Dark tonight. A very busy day in the world of professional bass fishing. Little noon action today. Bradley Hallman, nice enough to, he wasn't in a tree stand. He was like making a tree stand from what I could gather. Not a big hunter. I don't know how that works, but it involved chopping down, I think, an elder tree or something for some brush. Anyway, then he came in, talked about his retirement. He didn't want to call it a retirement. Stepping away from the Bassmaster Elite Series, a good show to go back and listen on that, focus on family, just really focus on stuff in life that he enjoys. And then following that show, Major League Fishing came out with their list of 2024 BPT anglers, and there were some noticeable exceptions on that. Obviously, you had, I think, KVD Crete and Tim Horton, who retired, but also absent from that, Cliff Pace, Cody Meyer, Josh Butler, Brett Height, Mike McClellan, Mitch Crane, Randall Tharp, Roy Hawk, Russ Lane. I hope I didn't leave anybody out or add anybody who wasn't there and just gave him a heart attack. But I believe that that's inaccurate. And then obviously at 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 o'clock Central, big announcement from Bass. He's back-to-back Bassmaster Classic winner and recent guest on BTL, but we had to bring him back in. That would be the one and only Jordan Lee. Jordan, thank you for taking time. I had this talk. You jumped on 2 minutes ago. Has to be a crazy day today. Announced you're going back to the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2024.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, kind of expected all the hype and stuff. I mean, I don't really hype myself up like that, but I kind of knew it was coming. Don't really, to be honest with you, don't really love it, but I get it. And it's
you don't really love the hype.
Yeah, I don't like the hype.
The hype is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the hype. But I mean, I knew it was coming. I mean, I'm not saying I don't love it. I love the support. If it was just dead quiet today and nobody was like saying anything, social media, and it was just kind of dead silence, and you kind of feel like, well, maybe nobody really likes you, but people texting me all day, and I see the comments, social media. I mean, I'm looking today. A lot of times I'm not looking. Today I'm looking, see what people are saying, and I could feel the love.
Are you surprised at how much love you have felt? How many stories have been reposted? How many comments there have been about returning to bass?
No, I kind of expected it, honestly. I mean, I thought there was going to be a lot of hype around it for sure. Just being that, when I left, I guess winning the classics and then fishing the other classic before. I mean, it was kind of early. I mean, it was early in my career, and it's been a while, and I know it's a big deal. It's a big deal to MLF to lose an angler like me and, have the status, and it's a big angler for Bass to, I'm not saying that cocky because y'all know I'm not but it is, and I get it, but it's just just how it is, and but I respect everything that's been going on, and I'm just going with the flow right now.
I kind of look at your career in three separate stages. There's kind of college, young, frat house Jordan Lee, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Then there's classic champ Jordan Lee.
Yeah.
And now there's family man, kid, business, maturing Jordan Lee. Walk us through each phases of those. Take us back to those college early year days. Like what do you wish you could tell yourself now, or how do you think you're different than you were from that kind of first phase where you jumped on the scene in Auburn?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard anyways, like every 10 years, like you you change like a little, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago, or even, just how you develop just as a person. And, for me, I feel like personally I've changed. You just mature a lot too. I'm only 32, but still, like, I started when I was 23, and just fresh out of college. I'm hungry, and I mean to fish full time and to make a living doing it. So you'll go to any measure. Like as far as putting the time in, the work. You're hungry. You don't have anything on your plate. Just like you see all the kids that are qualifying for the elites and the Bass Pro Tour. That's what you see. You see these younger kids winning the Toyotas. We talked about the last episode. Anyways, that's what I was.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, when I won the classics, it's early in my career. I'm excited. I had a couple lucky breaks, so to speak. Right place, right time. I won a couple tournaments. Maybe I shouldn't have won them. I don't think I just dominated those tournaments, but I won them. So that's all that matters. And then going forward, Major League Fishing, I mean, it had such promise from the get-go. And that's what people, I don't regret anything, looking back on it, like going to Major League Fishing and fishing there. I fished there 5 years. I have zero regrets on that decision, like that going into Major League Fishing, doing something totally different. Won the first event and had a lot of success at Major League Fishing. I'm a different angler than I was 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I've matured not only like as a person and, as in my faith, I've grown in my faith, but also just as an angler and reading the water. And I've always been good at that, but just, dialing in electronics, not spending as much time as I used to on the water, but I'm still spending, quite a bit of time. And MLF has made me a better angler, fishing against those guys, catching as many as you can, going back to 5, doing all these different crazy stuff. Like, I feel like I am a more mature angler, and not saying I'm going to dominate going forward, but I have 3 different phases, and I feel like now I feel pretty good, about where I'm at.
When I had you on BTL last time, it was ironic. I had you and Hyde on. I think it was like the same week, and there was a lot of stuff building in the industry, in my opinion. You knew something was going to happen. You didn't know what was going to happen. Guys were playing poker. Some guys were playing checkers. Some guys were deer hunting. As much as you can, and I know you posted a 6-minute video on your social media. Bass came out with a press release. Walk us through the process that went from BPT angler to Elite Series angler on the 15th of November.
And I honestly, there was things I didn't get to say on the video, and I recorded it myself. And, I had a 15-minute long one, and I had a 4-minute long one. And I did a couple different video takes, and I was just like, this is going to be short and sweet. I don't need to draw it out. People can see what they want to see in 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'll come on podcast and do a Facebook Live, whatever, give the details of it, because it doesn't really matter. People just want to see where I'm fishing, and I get that. So there's a lot of things that I didn't get to say I wanted to say. But, first off, I know people are going to take it as a negative and throw it all different ways. And I tried in my video to really to show that that's not how this was. And for me as an angler, like, I know Bassmaster is going to treat it as, a coming out party for me. And that's great. And I get it. I get it from a marketing standpoint. Major League Fishing, I talked to them. I talked to Kathy and Boyd. And they treated me with the utmost respect. They didn't try to sell me on anything. They said, we're happy for you. We hate that you're leaving. But I mean, Boyd told me to go into their classic. People treat Boyd as like he's, a guy that's out for people in the industry. But to me, it's quite the opposite. I mean, I feel there's things that they've done that I haven't been in agreement of. I didn't like going back to every fish counts this year. I was a big proponent last year, get it to change to 5 fish. And honestly, if it was stayed 5 fish, I don't think I would be in this position because I had fun this year. I really did. I thought it was legit. As an angler, I didn't see the anglers really disgruntled. I thought everybody was happy overall. We catch them, weigh them, let them go. It was cool. I personally felt deep down in my heart like, okay, this is something we can build on. The numbers weren't there. They had to make some switches. Sponsors didn't like it. I get it. I'm still on the MLF. I'm still going forward to the MLF. I called. So it really started, probably about 3 weeks ago. I called Bassmaster, said, hey, and for those of y'all don't know that are watching, I have 2 Legends exemptions, which if you win a Classic Angler of the Year, you get a Legends exemption is what they call it. So Bassmaster takes 2 spots a year per year. There's no, they're very strict.
No favoritism.
No favoritism. Exactly. That's the word.
You win one of those 2 things. Is there also $1 million, like for every $1 million you earn, you get a Legends exemption too, or is it just those 2?
I do not know that.
Okay,
sure.
but for sure, Angler of the Year, Bassmaster Classic, you get a chip, you can cash your chip in. That's what a number of anglers have done. We've seen David Fritz do it, Larry Nixon.
There's 2 spots. Well, I talked to Bassmaster. They said Larry Nixon, Rick Klein, they're coming back. We're not going to be able to take you this year. If you want to jump in some opens, we'd like you to fish some opens. Maybe next year an exemption spot will open up. Okay. Well, I'm looking at it like, okay, that makes my mind up. Sign my MLF agreement. We have an opt-out clause in it. I pay my $5,000 MLF. That's where I'm going 2024. Mm-hmm. I'm not super excited about it, but that's the way I'm going. I have to fish a top level league. People, talk about, hey, just go fish the opens if you want. It's easier said than done. And you take a risk. You take such a big risk for somebody like me financially, and it's just not worth it for a lot of guys. So anyway, so I get a call Thursday afternoon. So what's today?
Wednesday. So 6 days ago. Yeah,
6 days ago. And they say Larry's not going to take the Classic exemption. He's gonna end up retiring. So that spot's open. You're a first guy. You got 2 exemptions. I guess. I guess it goes in that list. 2, 1. Maybe they pick who they call. They called me first. I said, "Give me till Monday. I got to call some people. I got to talk to my family. Got to think about it. It's still a big decision. I've been fishing Major League Fishing I fished 5 years, 19 through 23.
It's over half your career.
Half my career. And I've been fishing against the same guys for 9 years. I love the guys I fish against. And that's the guys I grew up watching, fishing against. And that's where I've been comfortable fishing there. And so I had a lot to think about. I think you got to think about, there's any pushback. I talked to sponsors. Are they on board? A lot of the sponsors are very indifferent now. It's not, they don't push you one way or another. They didn't push me one way or another, like some people would think. Like, they're like, we just want you fishing, high level tournaments. Social media now, it's top dog. Like, those posts you make on social media and growing your brand that way mean more than a tournament circuit. Like, if you go catch them and win a tournament, yeah, you're going to sell some baits if you win on a sponsored product. But the more, you're active on social media and all that, like, that's where these companies are seeing the value. And that's the truth. That's coming from them. I know that. I know. So to me, it's just a decision. Hey, where do I see myself in 5 more years? Job security. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at, I asked about Angler of the Year points and how that works. Like, I didn't know any of the rules. Like, going back to my years matter before with elites, and they do. The 15, 16, 17. I had 3 top 10s in Angler of the Year. So those carry over
Mm-hmm.
in case I go struggle. So that's all playing in my mind. And then it's like just talking to Kristen and just seeing where I'm at, and just thought, she was kind of indifferent about it too, and didn't make it easy on me to just make a choice. And the anglers, all that I talked to from MLF, are like, man, you got to do what you got to do. And so it was up to me in the end. And I was like, well, it's not going to be an easy choice like a lot of people think it may be. And I was like, I just need to roll with it and see where I'm at, in a couple of years. And I plan on, fishing hard, and, that's just my decision. So, I mean, I'm excited about it, but it definitely wasn't like I'm sitting over here jumping for joy. And because end of the day, I'm still paying an entry fee.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a customer, and I'm lucky I get to do it for a living. But, I looked at that too financially. I'm paying $40,000 MLF for 7. I'm paying $45,000 for 9 at MLF. I mean, at Bassmaster. So, it's pretty much, I get 2 more tournaments for 5 more thousand, which I wasn't nickel and diamond there, but I'm just looking at that, going forward to MLF, like going to 50, the payouts there, but the payouts are good at MLF, but it's not, it's very equal. Angler of the Year, they pay out at Bassmaster, don't pay it out at MLF. That really didn't factor in my decision. It was really just personally, I want to go fish for 5 fish. I feel like my fans want to see that, and I feel like deep down that's where I want to fish. So that was my decision, and I went with it.
How much did the Classic play into this? I mean, you're chasing history here. You know what it's like to be on that stage and hold that trophy.
Yeah, it didn't play into it as much as one would think. I think it's been so long since I fished a Classic that, that was awesome. That, I mean, you cannot deny how cool that moment was for me. And it's been a long time since I felt that. I'm used to what I've been doing, and I mean that is there's not a better feeling than I'll probably ever have in my career than that moment. Dropping just a fat old sack on the scales in Minute Maid Park. Come from behind, 14th place. I mean, I can't top that though, Matt. I can't. Maybe I can, but I know I can't. I've known that for a long time, but it would be cool to get back and to have a shot. I mean, it's not something that I lay in bed dreaming about it, but when I get there, I think it would be really cool. And we all know, how special that is.
You don't think you can top that?
No.
You don't think there's stuff out there in the universe that we don't know about? I mean, you would never have thought that you're going to break down underneath a bridge and then go throw the ugliest jig known to man and catch 27 pounds and come from 14th back on the final day. Like, I don't think we know what the hell's in store for the future. Like, there could be something even crazy. You could boat flip an 8 on the last cast to win by an ounce on Gunnersville.
Yeah. You never know, but that tournament, was just bizarre, and to win that tournament in that stadium, and just how cool that was, that feeling. I mean, that's going to be tough to top. It really is. That's up there.
We talked about this the last time you were on, and I was a little embarrassed. I didn't realize how much you had won at MLF just because of how some of the stuff was tape delayed. We talked World Championships, Angler of the Years and stuff. Were there moments over there where you had those feelings, those intense feelings? I mean, we've seen you in Florida on the live with it going down to the last moment, or is there something in your soul about having those people actually there and it being the Bassmaster Classic with 50 plus years of history behind it?
I feel like there was definitely some exciting moments. Heavy hitters at Kissimmee. That was a really cool tournament for me. And I had that feeling and I was excited during the day, and I was fired up, and I was catching them and catching monsters all day. it was really fun. But, I don't even know like the fans. I mean, I've been so, I guess, out of touch with how the weigh-ins have been and like all that. Like we haven't done that. I haven't done that in 5 years. That's a long time. You kind of forget like, how that feels. I think we've all got really used to the new normal at MLF, which has been you go out, you fish, you think people are watching, you don't really know, you try to entertain and teach and catch fish and do well and win the tournament, and then you come in and then it's over with.
Mm-hmm.
They may have a stage there, like at St. Clair I won this year. There was people there, it was cool, but it wasn't, from the beginning, we knew that like winning moment in front of people, just even if it was 1,000 people, we wouldn't have that same feeling. But we've had glimpses of, throughout the years at MLF, glimpses of like, okay, this was really cool. Like, having an off day and having a bunch of people come. Watts Bar, I remember Lake of the Ozarks a couple years ago. Like we had a lot of people show up to come hang out with us and talk, and not in a weigh-in environment. Really, just face to face, talking to the fans and taking pictures, whatever. That's been like the glimpses of that. But as far as in tournament, there's intense moments. Especially with the score tracker and knowing what everybody's got. And that is a cool part of it. And like I said, this year I had a lot of fun. Like I thought there was some really cool moments this year that were captured. There were some bad moments that were captured. But overall, I thought it was great. I really did. So, but I have been out of touch. Like it's been a long time since I fished a classic, since I've fished a tournament where I'm bringing them in and having to rush back to weigh in. Like I'm out of touch with it because it's been a while. But I'll have to get back in touch pretty quick.
You mentioned, I believe, that you're still going to compete in heavy hitters and red crest this year. I know that in past years with champions who flip, there's been a little bit of back and forth on whether they're going to be there or not. Do you have that in writing that you're going to be competing in those two events this year on the VPT?
No. Well, so is one thing the angler board did in MLF and we really pushed for was if you qualify for an event and if you're not fishing the next year, if you retire or if you decide not to fish, the league, you decide not to fish the Bass Pro Tour, that, you're able to fish that event. So that's one thing we changed when Bobby Lane didn't, I think he qualified for the next year's Red Crest and he didn't get to come back and fish it because he left. And so we got that changed to where, like this year, Kevin's going to be able to fish, the Red Crest. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not turning that down. It's a chance.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And if it doesn't conflict, which they don't, that, I think it makes sense. I'm not pro one way or another, like maybe some anglers are, or some people thought that's just how it works. Like I'm here to fish tournaments. I'm already signed up for a Toyota series at Gunnersville, and I'm sure I'll fish some BFLs.
Cracked me up that you still love tormenting all the BFL guys and Toyota guys. And you'll jump in like at little derbies here and there, and you're always like, "Oh, got lucky and dropped 26 on them today."
I didn't win a BFL this year. I did win the points, but I didn't win one. But it's all fun to me. I had a lot of fun fishing those, and glad I did. Glad it worked out where I could just go fish some tournaments and around the house. I mean, that's kind of why I do it, especially around the house. Just if there's something open and I can sleep in my own bed and go fish for some money, I'm in.
Sponsor wise, and you touched on this earlier. I know this has this is kind of a behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't realize, but there are a lot of decisions that are made. I mean, you have major multi-million-dollar companies that are making decisions on anglers that they've been with a long time. I mean, they're talking bottom dollar, they're talking exposure, they're talking bait sales, all this. Some companies are cool with guys switching back and forth, with guys going to the opens. There's a lot of money behind the scenes when it comes to tours and levels that you fish with. You had basically 72 hours to make this decision. And like I said, you touched on it before. All sponsors cool on board. Are you getting more? Are you getting less without numbers? Has it been a pretty smooth transition with all of your sponsors? And I mean, you're not one of those guys who has, I mean, you don't have a Scott Martin jersey. God bless him. But you know what I mean? You got a little room on there. You've got some major ones though.
Yeah. I got room on there. I haven't tried to overload myself with sponsors because it's hard for me to just do my job.
Mm-hmm.
With the ones I have, and I try to do a good job for them. But it wasn't a money decision by any means. It was, I did not get a raise, or I didn't get cut any really from going league to league, as far as I know. So there's that. Some of that's up in the air, but I mean, talking with them. They're pretty much indifferent overall. My personal ones on what league I fish. They just want me to, they're going to follow me wherever I, go, either circuit, Major League Fishing or Bassmasters. I don't think I could, just jump into BFLs and fish those and probably have the same response. But I wish I could, because that's what I do. But no, overall, I mean, it's pretty much indifferent from them.
In 19, when all this went down, I mean, there was a lot of bitterness and vitriol between anglers. I mean, anglers cussing out other anglers, wives going at it over social media and on the phone. I get the feeling now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, there's 9 or 10 guys that aren't going to be on the BPT. We saw Bobby Lane go from Bass back to the BPT. That kind of raw emotion has kind of cooled off a little bit. Like everyone's just wants what's best for them, their family, and their brand on whatever league they've chosen. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's a fair statement. I mean, I've definitely got some texts I've got texts from guys from both leagues just today, since I kind of just announced it. But, and, we all get it. We all want a place to fish that is a perfect place to fish. We don't have that right now. We 5 years ago, we thought there was potential that could potentially happen, and it for better lack of terms, it didn't happen. It couldn't be sustained of what the vision that that we got told, like, this is what it's going to be. This is what you're going to get. And that was really what was said to us. And the first year, I mean, knew it probably wasn't going to sustain, but the opportunity was there. But the overall, the anglers, I feel like, have all kind of calmed down on that. I mean, I was thinking about this today, thinking about, 2019 when we left, and just the no entry fees, the payouts. Like, I mean, we fished a world championship. I won it for $100,000. That was just off the cups. It was a championship off the cups. There
was a reason why the vast majority left. Like, I think people forget that in 2019. Like, there was a reason.
I mean, if you're working a job and you're working a job, you're getting paid $50,000 a year, and somebody calls you up, it's a competitor, and says, "Hey, we're going to pay you $100,000." It'd be hard usually to be like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to stay where I'm at. But there's guys that did, and they made their choices, and I never had one. I can't speak for other guys, but I never had one feeling in my deep down like, man, he's doing it wrong. Like, I can't believe he's doing this. And I know that's how some anglers are, and it is what it is, And I mean, I don't, the anglers that fish at Major League Fishing, like, we were, I mean, not a super tight knit group, but all the guys had their best interest. I had the other anglers' best interest in heart, and I know they did too, and wanted the best for us. And that's what we've tried to, do over there, is try to have the angler's best interest. And so
I would love, every once in a while you get on a HBO or a documentary, and it's about something that you have no idea what it is, and you get into it and you're like, boy, this is fascinating. I mean, I'm not talking about an in-industry documentary. I'm talking like a full-on professional, millions of dollars production research documentary over 2018 and 2019. And the split, I mean, you just take it, we take it for granted. We've got over 600 people on live here and stuff. This is a sport we love, understand. No, this is a niche deal. Take this to the outside world and talk about what happened back then and show everything. And I think that there is a massive opportunity, especially once the dust settles in 4 or 5 years and you're now a decade removed from a lot of those raw nerves and feelings. I think that's an hour and a half that you could get people who have never touched a rod and reel in their life to sit down and go, damn, that was bizarre. That was wild. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? I don't even get to watch Netflix a whole lot anymore, but there's some Netflix shows out there that remind me of this. And I don't know, like, yeah, it would be crazy to dig deep, really deep in it behind the scenes and just see all the decisions and like what the companies had to do, and then where it took them and what it did to anglers, and like where anglers went. And yeah, it would be bizarre. It would definitely get some people intrigued in our sport to see how that all went down.
It's got to happen. I think it just has to be put in front of someone and understand how much chaos there was and how many lives were impacted in that split. Because I mean, you also had a purchase of Bass then from Jerry and his group to go to Chase Anderson. There's just a lot of elements on there. You mentioned going back to the Elite Series, and you spent a lot of time fishing, the majority of your career fishing against the same anglers that you've looked up to, heroes, guys that we were established when you were in there. I mean, you're going back to an Elite Series class that has a lot of established names and a number of anglers that have come back from MLF. But you are now competing against guys who are 10 years younger than you. I mean, you've got other Auburn guys. You got Logan Parks, who's coming in as a 25-year-old rookie. You're 8 years older than him. I mean, you have an intimidation factor. What are your thoughts on these young guys? Have you followed them? Are they in some way? I would imagine they would have to be intimidated by you a little bit because they've never had the chance to fish against you. And, now you're coming back to it. There's a whole group of guys who are 8 to 10 years younger than you who are like, you know what? I get a shot at Joe Lee now.
Yeah. Yeah. When they come back that first tournament, kick my ass, they're probably like, yeah, he's not that.
Are you serious? You've said that 3 times. You are not seriously nervous about that, are you? Like, you're like, oh, I was looking at the points in case there's no way that crosses your mind.
I'm not nervous about it, but that's how I've always been. I've never been a guy that's just full of confidence coming into a tournament, coming into a year. I've had an unbelievable career, and I've done, the points. You look at the points at MLF. I'm right behind Jacob Wheeler overall points.
That's a good guy to be up with.
I know I got it, but I've never been a confident, like, I wish I was. I see some of these kids and they're just full of confidence. Like, they know they're going to go catch them. I've never been that guy. I just show up and, oh, well, did pretty good today, and like that's awesome, you know. And I'm never just. I wish I did. I wish I had that confidence. And there's times that I do when I get rolling, and I feel it. But yeah, I mean, you know, look, these younger kids coming in, they. I was reading that. These younger kids coming in, they're, I feel like, super prepared, and they've put so much time and effort in, more than I did, to make it to where they're at. And they're extremely good anglers. And I know they're hungry, and they're wanting to catch them, and they're putting everything they got. They're studying right now for next year. And, but, you know, I don't think there's an intimidation factor. I think there probably a little jitters for them. But overall, you know, I think they made it to the top level.
I mean, KVD did that to you a little bit. He used a little bit of the KVD mojo a couple times on you, didn't he? To let you know that, like, he's the man and you're coming up and you're going to have your time. But right now it's still his time. Yeah,
he did. And that could happen. You know, you could have a veteran move, slide in there and, you know, make that one decision that nobody's thinking about, and slide in there and get the W. But hey, I know it's easier said than done. You know, it's easier said than done to go out there and just win tournaments and anything like that. I mean, I want to be consistent and, you know, hopefully have a good year, but you don't know going into the year. I never have known. And but I mean, it's been good to me. So I mean, the past is the past, and, you know, going forward, you just got to put the time in and put the work in. And I can't stop doing that. I can't you can't get comfortable and be like, you know, I've made it here, and, you know, I've caught them for 9 years pretty good, but, you know, this 10th year, we're just going to go through the motions. Yeah, I can't do that. I gotta be on my A game.
Do you still have the passion that you did when you made your first cast professionally?
I think I do. I have the passion for fishing for sure. I still love it. I would go probably every day if I could. So yeah, I still do. I still love it. I'm not a guy that goes and sits in the tree stand all fall. Like, if I could be on the water, that's where I'd be. I love fishing, and I'm intrigued by it. All the technology that's new. You know, I'm still learning every time, but, you know, I love the sport. And, you know, when you're catching them in a tournament, there's really no better feeling to me in fishing. So I still have it.
Anybody that you're particularly excited to pull up next to on the first morning, or get to know or see what they're all about? New incoming guys who have been over at Bass, guys who you haven't fished against in a couple years, who used to be at BPT?
You know, I mean, I definitely have friends that fish Bassmaster. I mean, me and Justin Atkins we go way back to probably 2010, 2011, before we were both pro, you know, in college, barely in college. I drew out with him. I was a co-angler and drew out with Atkins in Everstart, and we've been friends ever since. So it'll be fun fishing against, you know, Atkins and Hunter Shyrock. We're pretty tight. We talk fairly often. And Taku, you know, he's one of the Japanese anglers. When he came over here to the U.S., you know, we fished together, and you know, he stayed at the house a couple times. So yeah, it's going to be different for sure, you know, seeing all these guys at tournaments, but I'm sure a couple tournaments in, we'll get in the groove. And, you know, I hadn't put them in the live well in a long time, Matt. It's been a minute.
You fished some BFLs and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I have, but I guess I have. I mean, that's kind of a lie, I guess.
Just not at the Elite Series level.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to worry about getting back in. But you still do that. I mean, that's muscle memory, man. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a Thursday nighter or whether it's the Bassmaster.
I get my first bite. I'll be back in the groove, hopefully. So, you know, it's gonna be fun. I mean, yeah. I'm excited about it.
It's been kind of a long day for you. You're telling me where all you were and what all you were doing and stuff today. Like you've been all over the freaking map
Dude,
today.
I mean, the fishing part has literally been the least of my worries lately. I've had a lot going on. I have not been in my house since before my last tournament, July. I haven't slept in actually my own bed since July. Not going to get to till January. I had a accident happen at our home. I had a toilet that cracked while I was gone. My wife was gone. It flooded the whole house. Ruined everything. Had to gut everything. Had to move out.
I did not know that.
Been in a rental house. Got a 2-year-old. Been going back and forth, driving an hour, going back to the house. It's been a mess since then. So I have not been in a position. I mean, I had to move all our stuff out of our house, put it in the shop. I have not been like dialed in on fishing. I fish some, but I've definitely not been in a stable environment. So it's just life, and everybody's dealing with their own stuff. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That being said, like I said, I appreciate you jumping on tonight. I don't want to prolong this. It's almost 9:00 where you are in Alabama, and I really just wanted to get you on. And like I said, I appreciate you jumping on, dude. It means a lot for you to take the time to do that and kind of get your take and your thoughts on it. And very impressive, just kind of your thought process through the whole thing. And like I said, I don't think it's well, I mean, if we're talking personally, I think it's a hell of a move, and I'm glad you're back, and I hope you chase the Bassmaster Classic titles, and that at some point in your career, you're fishing for number 5. But, that's neither here nor there. I just asked the questions.
No, that's cool, and I appreciate that, and I know that's how it was going to – and I love that, if like I said in the beginning, man, if everybody was quiet on it and, the anglers from both sides were quiet, but, I've had nothing but love
and I think it's different with you because you came up, and I know you fished FLW college and all that, but you came up through bass. And I remember you had the whole deal with you and Matt making the Grand Lake Classic, and then you coming back through all the odds and making the 14 Classic. And then the first one was at Gunnersville, and you hold the 2 7-pounders up, and you should have won that tournament if you hadn't screwed up the first day. I mean, we've talked about all that before, but I mean, that was the first live coverage of the college bracket coming up through it. And then there's certain guys that I think, come up through the organization, and you are one of those guys. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And I sometimes I can, I don't think about all those things, but you're 100% right. I mean, I have a lot of history there, had a lot of great memories there, and, winning the classics. I mean, that's just, that was unbelievable.
Is that a goal? Like just between me and you, like that has to be, is it, or am I just totally off base on that? Like, dude, there's a number there. I think there's another guy who goes by initials who notices that there's a number there, and he wants to change that number, but there's very few guys chasing Rick Clunn's 4, and Kevin's tied with him, and you got 2. There ain't nobody with 3.
Yeah. I mean, you don't think about that stuff though. Are you thinking about next year, which tournaments you're going to win? I mean, maybe not. Thinking about a tournament you haven't qualified for and winning is hard to say. It's hard to qualify for those. People may just count that those are just gimmies for me, but they're not. And I mean, I definitely I'd love to win 10 of them. But, I mean, that's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
I would love to get back to Classic and, have the family come, and, that to me, those memories and stuff of that, like, I just remember a Hart one, my mother-in-law being there and my wife being there and just, talking me through it. Pepping me up, getting me going. I'm all down, like, it is what it is. I'm not gonna win this one, but just those memories and stuff, like I won't forget those. And so that I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to maybe making one and seeing what happens. But I know those are just crazy hard tournaments to win, and you have to be on your A game, and it's a different feel. So, but I do feel like now more than, I'm a more complete angler. I have a little bit more. I can taste it when I'm there, and once you've done it for a while, you can get that feeling like, okay, this may be the winning stuff. It's not. Making those adjustments. That's how I've fished the last couple of years, and so we'll see.
Anything else you want to get in here, Jordan?
I think I pretty much spilled it all out there, unless you got something.
No, I think we'll leave it at that. I would assume you're going to be on Mercer within the next couple of weeks. Dave's going to probably take a deep dive into that, go a little bit more behind the scenes. You guys have a great relationship. You talk about the unbelievable calls and some of the things that you guys have been through. So it's going to be cool to see that dynamic. And I look forward to listening to the Mercer podcast that you're on, where he kind of talks about your return as well. He actually called in today. I thought that was pretty cool on the Jacob Fouts show that he was talking about. He got you on for about 40 seconds. Yeah. I thought you were going to leave him hanging.
Yeah, he was like, well, I'm going to hang up on you now. And he hung up on me. And I was like, well, you weren't lying. But he got me on real quick yesterday and talked to me real quick. But we're going to do a podcast. I'm sure there'll be many more, but definitely wanted to get on here. You're my guy, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. Have a good night. Get some sleep tonight.
All right, buddy. Thank y'all.
All right. See ya. All right. There you go. That is the one and only Jordan Lee, the man, the myth, the legend, returning to Bass. Like I said, I gave that list earlier today, and I'll see if I can pull it up. Pull it up again. Obviously, Jordan, KVD retiring, Cliff Pace, Cody Meyer, Josh Butler, Brett Height, Crete. I think he's retiring. He's on a boat down in Florida. I'd retire too if I had his life. Mike McClellan, Mitch Crane, Randall Tharp, Roy Hawk, Russ Lane, Tim Horton retiring, and then Tommy Biffle. A couple surprises on there. Bass has not come out with the Bassmaster Open list. I have been in contact with them, though, so I know that there are some big names that will be making that move to the Bassmaster Opens. And then there's also going to be some of those guys that will head to the NPFL, which I just talked to Fat Cat Newton when we were at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital yesterday in Memphis, and that organization is the NPFL, looking really good there. Survived some tough times, some weather things, some business things, but really excited to follow all three of the tournament trails as MLF tries to navigate some major changes in their business model and their structure. The Elite Series continues to absorb top level anglers and then also try to make a home for anglers at the open level, and then the NPFL makes a footprint for itself. So commercial free tonight. It was the second show of the day. I thought it would be cool just to get Jordan on and kind of let him talk in his own words. Greatly appreciate all the viewers, all the support, all the listeners for jumping on BTL. Like I said, there's only one November 15th evening, and you guys chose to spend it with BTL. So greatly appreciate that. Hey, if you like what's going on BTL with what we're bringing you free of charge on a daily basis, listen, we're getting towards the end of the year. This is how I make my living. This is what I do. If you appreciate it, the best way you can show your support is to let the companies know that support BTL, that you like what's going on every Monday through Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, and occasionally an evening show like this. I do want to mention tomorrow, like if you're not a Frank Scalish avid listener, if you've jumped on and you're like, I know about that jig hack. Frank will be in the kitchen, live in the kitchen, apron on, with a crappie recipe. We tested it today. We think that the stream is good enough in his kitchen. He lives in like this 5-story old school house in Cleveland. He is going to be cooking tomorrow on the show. I have no idea if it's going to work. Might be worth tuning into. All right, this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Day 4 tomorrow with the man Frank Scalish. Thank you, Jordan Lee. Greatly appreciated. We'll talk to everybody then later.